Welcome to the Tao of Pizza, where we feature top logistics leaders, entrepreneurs, and supply chain innovators and share their inspiring stories with a holistic twist.
Mark Hiddleson here, host of the Tao of Pizza podcast. Thanks for tuning in to this special Best of episode. In this episode, we'll take a look back at some of our favorite moments from previous conversations. This podcast is brought to you by Specialized Storage Solutions. We provide industry-leading warehouse storage solutions nationwide. So basically, if you have a warehouse that needs rack, shelving, carts, conveyors, or mezzanines, we help with design, engineering, installations, inspections, and repairs to help clients optimize their logistics operations. We take a holistic look at your entire business supply chain ecosystem to develop the resources for continually improving your operation. To learn more, visit specialracks.com or give us a call at 707-732-3892. One of the best ways to learn more about our products and services is to follow us on Instagram. And there's a link on our website to do that. I will even give you my personal email address for podcast listeners. So email me at markhiddleson@aol.com if you're ready to take your warehouse storage and retrieval systems to the next level.
There's a few different things that I like to do with stage fright. I mean, stage fright is such an interesting phenomenon. You know, I always think of that Fritz Perls quote, "Fear is excitement without breath." A lot of times I find that, particularly with clients who I'm working with who are about to go on stage and who are nervous about it, that it's not just about taking a deep breath, it's about directing your breath in a way that you can start to transform that. Because when we go into fear, a lot of times, if you think about it, you know, you kind of hunch down and curl over, you stop your breath, everything compresses. And so it's a kind of stagnation. And of course, in Qigong, the whole purpose of the practice is to get energy moving, that you want to move what is stuck into flow. So breath is a really great first step to do that. So a lot of times I'll work with people around how to breathe. That it's not necessarily just what people think of as belly breathing or something like that. There's all different kinds of ways to breathe where you start to expand your energy field. And once that happens, once you start to expand what's called your Wei Qi field, and I know you know what that is because I've talked to you about it a lot, but once you expand that field, which has to do with your externalized energy, there's a safety in that you can really let yourself rest in the authenticity of who you are and then express from that. It makes a huge difference when you kind of touch base into that. The other thing I really like to remind people when they're going to go on a stage or when they're going to have maybe a high stakes conversation, something they feel nervous about, is to think about not so much about what is that person or those people or that audience thinking about me, but how do I send love or heart energy out to them? So that when focus goes out in this way, that does also a lot to dissipate the kind of stagnation or deer in the headlights that people tend to have when they have stage fright. And it's not that I don't get stage fright myself, I still do.
Taught entrepreneurship. So, you know, what were some of the things that when you started teaching entrepreneurship that you really wanted to get across, like the principles that you wanted to influence your students?
Well, my first class was a group of students who were considered to be potential high school dropouts, you know, candidates for continuation school. And because they lacked motivation, you know, they just wanted to goof off and, you know, have fun and chase women and, you know, all the things we do as teenagers and not study, you know, it's human nature, I think. And they also came from families that were broken or lacked values, you know, family values. So they were considered to be at risk of, you know, being criminals or dropouts or drug addicts or worse. So they hired me to find something to fulfill that emptiness inside that they felt. And being an entrepreneur makes you be responsible for yourself. You know, that's part of growing up. You know, you grow from being dependent on others to being independent to being interdependent. And that's the way we mature. And I think you've experienced that in your life. I know I have. But I think there's a saying that experience is not the best teacher, it's the only teacher. And I was able to share that with my students and convince them that if they, studied and worked hard and took care of their customers, they could be successful.
And the more you share with your factories, your suppliers, the more they believe you, the more they care about your business, the more they trust you. And that trust really helped me in the long run, because what happened next is a great story. And I'll tell you real quickly what it is. So I had this flood. The guy that gave me unlimited credit for my materials. This is back in the day when you had to buy the hangers, the labels, the hang tags, the boxes, the material, and you'd have to manage all of that. And today everybody gets a full package out of China and they're like, whoa, I'm a genius. No, you're a genius now because you know how much it cost you, okay? Before I had no idea what my shit cost, because I had money out in fabric and laborers and lay hang tags and boxes. And I had a lot of inventory of shit that I really didn't need, but that goes into the cost factor. Well, this guy gave me unlimited credit for my material. Material represented 65% of whatever I produced. So it was very important to my business. And it was also very important that I made him a believer in my future and what I was doing. When the flood happened, he couldn't even get to Santa Barbara to come up and visit me because it took like 3 days to get here. And so finally he got up, came to my warehouse, put his arms around me. He says, Mick, you're out of business. And I says, I know. And I started crying. I literally started crying. I had no idea what I was going to do because I owed him millions of dollars. And he said to me, Mick, what are you going to do? And I thought, what am I going to do to pay him back? That was the first thought that came to my mind. Mm-hmm. I said, Robert, I don't know how I'm going to pay you back. He said, Mick, I'm not worried. I'm a very wealthy guy. I'm not worried about me. I know you and Mary Lou are hurting right now. How much money a month do you need to live? I started bawling. I'm telling you, it was the most meaningful thing anyone has ever done for me.
When we go to those events, it's an opportunity for us to see all of our customers in one place. We can go and physically meet them and go by all of their booths and shake hands with them. And a lot of times people will request even a 15-minute sit down or an hour where we sit down and have lunch together and talk about upcoming projects. Or it's just it's nice to be able to do that face-to-face stuff, and especially now after the last couple of years of being so separated from all of that. But everybody, that's really why we go. We go for the meet and greet. So, and they're never like, when somebody will email me and say, oh, you and Sal are going to Modex, when do you have time for a sit down? And so I'm the one that's in charge of making our calendar of events. In between, I'll find the little workshops and things that I want to go to. Sal's too old for the workshops. He's like, I don't need to hear any of that stuff. But I like to go and learn and meet new people. So he wants to just go and see all of his old friends and familiar faces, shake hands with them, and meet their customers too, because if you're going by a booth and you bring Sal Fateen with you, it's impressive. You're like, hey, this is my engineer,
The key is that everything is becoming more automated, more electronic. And we in this country were on at the lower end of the scale.
Yeah.
So European companies we're doing a lot of business with new European companies. They come in and they have whatever. It could be started with robots, and now you have the fully automated rack-supported building. You have something like AutoStore, which is a storage system that's again fully automated. It handles material, and there are like 3 or 4 companies that have similar storage devices. There are shuttle systems that takes the product, go up, put it, store it away, keep it. When the time comes, push a button and it brings it back down. So all of that was in this country on a smaller scale. We had carousels, okay? And carousels became automated carousels where you push a button and it gets you the section to pick from. Now, robots are picking stuff and the machine is bringing the stuff to the robot. So the robot picks it up, puts it on a packet, the conveyor takes it to another location that the robot unloads it. So all that is very new. You don't need as many people. to run it, confuses the heck out of the guys at the building departments because they haven't seen that. And fire department says, what are you going to do about fire? Well, there are no people there to protect from fire. So all we have to do is protect the building from having a fire, but it's not protecting the people. Egress doesn't become an issue when you have a non-occupied warehouse.
Thanks for listening to the Tao of Pizza podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.